Hello guys, Matthew here and welcome back again to the Tech YouTube channel. After having some closer sessions a while back with the high-end offering of AMD's RX 580 series from MSI and Asus with their Gaming X and Strix models, you can check out both of those on my channel or at the card link in the top right corner. This time it's Gigabyte's turn to deliver some performance with their RX 580 Aorus XTR model. Except being feature-packed, as the product box points out everywhere you look at it, the XTR series within the Aorus sub-brand represents the best of the best, essentially cherry-picked GPUs, which Gigabyte called it the gauntlet sorting. Although being a pretty high-tier model compared to other RX 580 choices out there, this model doesn't actually come with anything to brag about in terms of the bundle, just your quick start guide, a coaster for your drinks, and a small Aorus badge. Oh yeah, and of course the card itself. Right from the get-go you can tell that this is not your ordinary RX 580 model, especially when it comes to its size. It takes up to 2.5 expansion slots and measures 241mm of length, so mind that if you have any other surrounding components. That's mostly due to its big cooling solution, which is all over the place with dimensions, even goes beyond the size of the card's PCB. It's made out of 3 separate densely thinned aluminum heatsinks, which are connected with 4 composite heat pipes in between, and like that they are cooling the GPU, video memory and VRMs. For blowing the cool air over all of that, in charge we have 2 100mm unique blade fans, which are actually spinning in opposite direction from each other. This supposedly reduces the air turbulence and dissipates the heat more effectively. One thing that could potentially help to additionally cool the GPU is the added copper contact point solution right on the back of it, which is surrounded with the rest of this very clean and sleek looking backplate, which improves card's cooling capabilities of VRMs and video memory in right conditions and helps with the card's rigidity, and that's especially welcomed since this card is really long and heavy. As you've seen by now, nothing is standard with this model compared to more tamed RX 580 series models out there. Even the power requirement consists out of one 8-pin and one 6-pin PCI Express power connector, while you could only say that the video output array is in line to what could be considered as usual, with 3 display ports, 1 DVI-D and 1 HDMI port. Overall, I do like how the card looks, means business right off the bat, while it's not that far from other designs seen before from Gigabyte, with a touch of a new detail or two, like this Aorus logo in the middle. Of course, we have your nowadays common RGB lighting, in this case that being the Aorus naming on the side and a big X symbol around the fans, which can be controlled using Gigabyte's Aorus graphics engine utility software. Speaking of it, using that software utility, I've tried to set Gigabyte's OC mode for my testing instead of the default gaming mode, which I always do since it gives a frame or two extra, so why not to use it, but the software went totally berserk on me. At first, if you try to load any of the preset profiles, it just loads an incorrect frequency, just as you can see it here, and after that it just drops down the GPU speed to 300 MHz permanently, while the memory goes back and forward between 1000 and 2000 MHz. All in all, that was really odd, and uninstalling the Aorus graphics engine utility and restarting the PC fixes this problem. So in the end I had to use the default gaming profile, and the 14 MHz difference between those two modes isn't too big of a deal, as this GPU has a pretty decently factory overclock out of the box, which is expected for a cherry-picked GPU. But on the other hand, manually overclocking the card further didn't get me too far either, only to 1455 MHz, which is a bit below average from what I've seen so far in my reviews of other RX 580s. Thankfully, overclocking the video memory was a breeze. It goes up to 2250 MHz, which is basically the maximum value you can set for it, so that bumps up the performance for a frame or two more. Speaking of the performance, taking a look at the graphs and results, just as with the RX 570 series, one of which I've checked out not so long ago, Sapphire's RX 570 ITX Pulse model, you can find it in the right top corner. The RX 580 series in general brings a step or two better and overall flawless 1080p performance, topping everything off with more frame rates compared to its little brother, and also going well over 60 FPS, making it ideal for all those high refresh gaming monitors out there. It easily copes with my 21:9 monitor resolution, so 16:9 1440p resolution shouldn't be a problem whatsoever. Checking out the temperatures, under load I was just above 70 degrees Celsius, both using Firmac GPU stress test and during gameplay, but with a difference of around 300 RPM of fan speed between them. It was slightly lower in the other case, but bottom line I would say you can expect something in between, of course depending on your airflow and chassis fan situation, but either way you will always be around that temperature number as it's regulated by the power and temperature target limits. Under idle on an open test bench I was seeing it roam anywhere from 40 to 50 degrees Celsius, again depending on the airflow it can be lower or higher, especially in this case since the fans don't spin when the card is not under load, or to be more precise when the GPU temperature is under 60 degrees Celsius, which is, as we all know, a pretty common feature nowadays. Because of this technology, when it comes to noise that it produces, the card makes none under idle or light load as the fans are not running, while under more serious load they are pretty quiet, although the card itself, VRMs, do spit out a momentary coil whine here and there, depending on the game or benchmark, but on the bright side it's barely noticeable on an open test bench. Although its price is still way up high than usual due to cryptocurrency mining frenzy, putting that aside for a moment, I think we got yet another more serious contender to choose when it comes to that top tier segment of currently available RX 580 models on the market. Tracking down the right choice won't be an easy task, but at least now I have all three major models, so to speak, rounded up at a single place. That's it guys for this time from me. Thank you once again for watching. Feel free to toss me a thumbs up if you like what you saw, that really helps me a lot. Leave a comment down below if you have any questions about this product or if you want to leave your suggestions, and of course feel free to subscribe for content further down the line, or you can just check out some of my other videos from before. Until then, catch you later guys.